Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Pool Remodel Pros Podcast. I'm your host, James Cawthorne, and in today's episode we will be breaking down why LED lights in pools and spas, even fountains, can save you money. Today we have a special guest, Kevin Kostka, the Commercial Division Manager from Allen Smith Pools in Orange, California. Kevin, thank you for being here with us today.
Of course, good to be here.
Thank you again. So today we're going to be breaking down why LEDs save you money and are environmentally beneficial. So Kevin, I know we've had you on the podcast before, talked a little bit about your background, but today I just kind of want to do some quick hitters with you. We have your presentation up. We'll kind of go through this, and this can be for commercial jobs, which I think you could touch a little bit on what importance of the commercial, but also residential. Why everyone's going to LED, especially in California, where everyone's talking about saving energy. So Kevin,
All right.
let's do it.
By now everybody knows about LED lights. When they were first breaking in about 10, 15 years ago, people started understanding what they were around their house. But when it comes to a swimming pool, it took a little bit of time for them to start putting LED lights in swimming pools. And me being the commercial division manager here, the reason why it was so important right away on the commercial level is because when you think about a commercial pool, the lights have to be on from dusk until dawn. That's a code requirement. And if the lights have to be on that often, what was happening is the incandescent bulbs were burning out after about 8 or 9 months.
Wow.
So they'd have to be replaced every 8 or 9 months. Well, that cost didn't used to be very big to replace those bulbs, but it got bigger and bigger and bigger to where, you get a commercial pool that might have 4 or 5 lights in it, and they're charging $150 a light to replace a bulb. And the reason why isn't because the bulb's so expensive. The reason why is because the gasket and just the maintenance, the labor involved was expensive. You're getting into some pretty high dollars every 8 or 9 months. So LEDs came around, and some of the important things about LED lights are, number one, the things last. Instead of 8 or 9 months, they can last, being on from dusk until dawn. They can last 9 or 10 years.
Wow.
That's a huge difference when it comes to the labor costs. But the other thing that it is it uses 80 to 90% less energy. That's a huge part too when you think about, again, dusk till dawn use. Um, and so instead of a 500-watt bulb, you have a 45-watt bulb or something like that. And so you can see how that would be different. And now you go over to the residential side, and yes, they aren't going to be using them as much, but I have a pool in my backyard, and I don't know if it's just being a dad or I'm angry all the time. I don't know what it is, but it makes me grumpy when the lights are on, especially when the lights are on and nobody's using it. You know what I mean? It's like I see it as money coming out of my wallet constantly. Well, this helps with that, because now instead of 500 watts, I'm using 45 watts in my own backyard. It's a much bigger difference, and it doesn't bother me so much when the kids leave the lights on. The other thing that in the commercial world with so many lights, we talked about, the amount of bulbs that you use, and you're throwing them into the landfills and things like that. Now, I'm not saying everybody's concerned about that, but some people are, and it's not a bad idea to reduce the amount of waste that we have. The other thing is, as far as the illumination goes, I know, the LED manufacturers were needing to come up with the same amount of lumens to brighten up your pool. Actually, the difference, in my opinion, is amazing. What an LED lighted pool looks like compared to the old incandescent. The old incandescent lights, if you look at them side by side, they look very yellow, and the LED lights are very bright and blue. So that's kind of
It's kind of similar to having like an older car. Those would be incandescent headlights, and
Yeah.
then also now I think most cars or trucks have LED lights.
But you can always see when somebody comes up behind you and they have an old car. You know how old the
Yeah,
car is. If it's an
yeah,
old car, it's got those yellow lights. Right?
yeah. Or you got a newer car, it's those piercing lights that are just
Yeah.
staring through you the
Yeah, you
back
can
mirror.
see that end of it too. Yeah. especially the ones that have like a whole row of lights,
Oh yeah.
blinding you. Yeah, yeah. But the LED lights have come a long way since they even started. So this kind of just shows you on a commercial pool. You know, you've got the lifespan. Look at the difference in the lifespan between an LED light and an incandescent light. That's the first one there. You've got just over 6 months, and you've got 11 years or so. There's the watts that are used, the annual amount, the energy cost. So you can see a pretty good saving. And think again, you got to also think, like I said before, that you're looking at, I just did a commercial pool that had 17 lights in it.
Wow.
So multiply those numbers by 17 and tell me that that's not a big difference.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. So here's just some of the energy costs difference. But here's the maintenance one, and this is the one where, especially that pool that I referred to that had 17 lights, when you think about how often those need to be replaced, look at the bottom one, just replacing one bulb saves $175 in annual maintenance cost, because that was the cost at the time, was $175. So think about the difference there on 17 lights, spending that. That's not even talking about the energy cost. This is just the maintenance. 17 lights times that number each year. That's not over the lifespan. That's each year. It's a pretty big difference.
And then I was told, I don't know if you can touch on this a little bit. I was told once you replace just the bulb and not the actual canister that the bulb goes into,
Mm-hmm.
you're breaking the factory seal. You're
Mm-hmm.
putting the gasket on there.
Mm-hmm.
That the odds of it failing are a little bit higher than the actual factory one, because you can run into that possibilities too, because you could replace it if it's not installed correctly. It's probably going to fail even sooner than a brand new one would.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah, we can't do it like the factory can do it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you're also taking into account the user error of putting it in there. You know, if there's a grain of sand in there or something, what happens when you put a enclosed a canister underwater? If there's any kind of a breach at all, you're going to get water in there. And once you get moisture in there, then you get water in there. And now I don't want everybody to freak out and think that they're gonna roast their kids in the pool or anything like that, or shock them to death. You have GFCIs, or you better have GFCIs that will trip if there's a problem like that. But yeah, you now you've got other problems. So yeah, the light itself is actually the whole thing. It's the ring that you can see, it's the canister, and it's the cord that goes all the way back to the junction box. It's that whole thing that gets replaced, and it's all factory. Well, if you have 11 years or so and it stays put, um, you're doing a lot better than in those incandescent lights, where you're always taking them out to replace the bulbs, and like you said, you're putting in new gaskets. You're also bending the cord each time you do that. There's so many different things each time you're taking it out and replacing it. So this just breaks that out over 10 years. When I first brought this up to some boards, they were pretty amazed, because if you look at it over 10 years, which is a long time, and if you have 4 lights, look at the bottom line there, the savings with the between the LEDs and the incandescents, that savings $26,000. Well, guess what? That just paid for your replaster.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And these look like, it can be higher, lower, whatever, but these are just averages, and they actually are true, because you got the energy costs, the cost of the maintenance, and add it all together, and it comes out to pretty pricey. So it's really a no-brainer. LED lights were the easiest thing to transfer over to.
And then obvious disclaimer. I mean, obviously this pricing is always changing depending on the economy and where
Sure.
things are at. Yeah. So for our
Absolutely.
listeners or anyone watching this, white LEDs might be a little bit more expensive than the 750 that they're posted there. This is just a average, just to give you some numbers about how much things cost and how much you can save.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was back in the very early days of LED
Oh,
lights, and
okay.
that's what they cost. So that was I don't know, 10 years ago,
Oh, wow.
something like that. But hey, look on the bright side. That was 10 years ago. Well, this in 10 years, you'd have $26,000 in your pocket right
There you
now.
go.
See?
There you
So
go.
don't knock it. It's just kind of a little showing the difference between an LED light and how many incandescent lights you would have gone through. So here's just some of the more environmental things. I don't know where you figured this one out. I don't know where they figured this one out. I wouldn't be able to do it, but replacing a 300-watt incandescent light is kind of like removing 1.7 cars from the road for a year. How about that?
Interesting.
I would like that just for traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in California.
I don't know how that works for traffic. That doesn't make sense. So, but anyway, yeah, reduces electricity use. We all know about that part, and landfill waste. Here's what I was talking about before, the difference between an incandescent pool and an LED pool. I don't know about you, but I look at those two pools, I want to be jumping in the left one.
Absolutely.
It just looks brighter, more interesting, cleaner. You look over at the right one. Now these are them put right next to each other. If you only saw the one on the right and you didn't have anything to compare it to, okay, it's fine. But the one on the left really pops.
I mean, it looks like algae on the right.
Yeah, I guess it kind of does look,
Because it's green and the other one's blue.
yeah,
That's wild.
or kind of yellow. I don't want to say what that looks like, but anyway.
We'll let our audience use their imagination. Well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for hopping on the podcast to talk a little bit about the money savings with LED lights. For our listeners, anyone that's looking to put new lights in their pool, LED is definitely the way to go.
For sure.
If you have any questions, feel free to leave a review, share with your fellow pool professionals and homeowners. And once again, thanks again for listening to the Pool Remodel Pros Podcast. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.